Have you ever noticed that some women don't flirt in obvious ways? Instead, they quietly gauge your awareness, especially if you're a man over 50. Their behavior shifts. They avoid appearing needy or overly eager, so rather than being direct, they approach things differently. And here's what many men fail to recognize. When a woman feels drawn to an older man, she almost always asks two very specific questions. It's like a signal hidden in plain sight. Before we get into those questions, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever realized too late that a woman was signaling interest? That kind of awareness matters more than most men think. Many men over 50 assume they've become invisible, either to younger women or even to women their own age. But that assumption couldn't be further from the truth. In many cases, mature men are more appealing than ever when they understand how women communicate. The issue isn't a lack of interest, it's misinterpretation. Too often, men move through interactions assuming she's simply being polite, when in reality, she may be opening a door. Women rarely express attraction in overt ways. Instead, they observe. They assess your emotional steadiness, your presence, and your ability to notice subtle cues. Feminine psychology tends to operate beneath the surface. When a woman begins to see you as someone she could trust, emotionally, physically, and intimately, her energy changes. What begins as casual conversation becomes more intentional. Her questions are no longer random, they're purposeful. Through these questions, she's looking to understand three things: your strength and stability, your emotional availability, and your awareness, whether you can recognize genuine interest when it's present. This is when those two key questions emerge. But to truly understand their significance, you need to grasp the psychology behind them. Many men over 50 expect clear, straightforward signals. They grew up in a time when communication was more direct. But today, even mature women tend to express attraction differently. They don't say, "I'm interested in you," or "I'm thinking about you romantically." Instead, they explore. They ask thoughtful questions to determine whether you're someone they can approach without risking rejection. There's a quiet concern at play, especially with older men. If she reveals too much too soon, she risks being perceived as needy, so she masks her interest within curiosity. Her questions seem casual, even harmless to anyone not paying attention. And if you miss the signal, she's unlikely to repeat it. Women rarely extend the same emotional invitation twice. Feminine communication is layered, where men often express interest through action, offering help, guidance, or protection. Women tend to signal through questions. When a woman feels drawn to you, she asks in a way that hints at connection. While there are countless questions she might ask in everyday conversation, two stand out when she's exploring deeper intimacy with a mature man. Before revealing them, understand this. She's not asking to gather information. She's trying to feel your emotional presence. She's asking herself, is he calm? Is he grounded? Is he open to connection? Or is he hiding behind politeness? These questions are less about facts and more about connection. They create a subtle pull, like small bridges she places to see if you'll meet her halfway. Most men respond to these questions literally. But a more perceptive man understands the meaning beneath the words. When she asks, she isn't collecting data. She's assessing alignment. She's observing your awareness. She's determining whether you can recognize what's unspoken. When a woman is interested, she doesn't need to be impressed by money, status, or stories. What matters is whether you are present, aware, and emotionally steady. These two questions matter because they are not casual. They are invitations. The first question is designed to reveal your availability, not your schedule, but your emotional openness. She's trying to sense whether there's space in your life for her. It's her way of asking, are you open to connection or closed off within your routines? Women don't invest emotional energy without first testing whether it will be received. The second question focuses on your direction, not your career or achievements, but your inner sense of purpose. She wants to know whether your life has clarity and movement. Women are drawn to men who are grounded, men who know who they are and where they're going. This question helps her understand whether she can feel secure in your presence. These two questions carry particular weight for men over 50. By this stage in life, many women assume a man has already lived through significant emotional experiences. Because of that, they hesitate to step into his world unless they sense there's genuine space for them. These questions, though subtle, help her determine whether she would be welcomed or sidelined. You might overlook compliments or body language, but if you miss these questions, you miss the moment she's offering connection. And once that moment passes, it rarely returns. So what are these two questions? The first is, do you spend a lot of time alone? On the surface, it sounds casual, but beneath it, she's asking something deeper. Is there room in your life for me? She may phrase it differently. Do you usually go out by yourself? Or are you seeing anyone right now? But the intent remains the same. She's assessing whether you're open or emotionally unavailable. This isn't about loneliness. It's about access. She's already imagined what it might be like to be part of your life. Now she wants to know if that possibility exists. Many men respond too literally, yes, I'm alone a lot, or not really. But a grounded man recognizes what she's truly asking. A more effective response might be, I value my time alone, but I always appreciate good company. Or, I have my routines, but I'm open to the right connection. This kind of answer communicates openness without neediness. It shows that you're emotionally available, yet grounded. And that balance is exactly what creates attraction. The second question is, what are you looking for these days? This is not small talk. It's a direct attempt to understand your intentions. If she weren't interested, she wouldn't ask something so personal. This question helps her evaluate your direction, whether you're intentional or simply drifting. She might phrase it as, what do you want at this stage in life? Or, what are you focusing on right now? Regardless of wording, the purpose is the same. She wants to know if your life has meaning and direction. If your answer lacks clarity, I'm just going with the flow, or I'm not sure, it signals uncertainty, and uncertainty tends to diminish attraction. Women are drawn to clarity, not perfection. They want to feel that a man is moving forward with purpose. A strong response doesn't need to be long, it just needs to show direction. For example, I'm building a life that feels meaningful with the right people around me, or I'm focused on connection that's genuine and intentional. These responses communicate emotional awareness, purpose, and stability. They also create space for her to imagine herself within your life. Here's what many men over 50 overlook. Women aren't just drawn to physical presence, they're drawn to emotional vitality. They want a man who is engaged, aware, and alive internally. These two questions about your openness and your direction are fundamental to attraction. A man who is both available and purposeful creates a natural pull. He becomes someone worth investing in. Picture a real-life moment. You're speaking with a woman, maybe at a cafe, a bookstore, or even online. The conversation flows easily. There's a subtle tension. Then she asks, do you spend a lot of time alone? That's her first step toward you. If you respond with awareness, the connection deepens. If you miss it, the moment fades. Later, she asks, what are you looking for these days? That's her second step. Now she's deciding whether to move closer or pull away. These aren't random questions. They are emotional checkpoints, and women rarely ask them unless they feel something genuine. Remember this. A woman seeking real connection won't state it outright. Instead, she asks, are you open? And do you have direction? If you recognize these moments, you engage with presence. If you miss them, the opportunity disappears. Women communicate attraction in ways that are subtle and often overlooked, especially by men expecting direct signals. This is even more important for mature men because they are perceived differently. Women expect depth, clarity, and emotional awareness from them. A younger man may be uncertain and still be seen as figuring things out. But a man over 50 is often expected to already know who he is. That's why women rely more on emotional cues than obvious gestures. When she asks about your openness or your direction, she's not just making conversation, she's sensing your emotional landscape. She's deciding whether stepping toward you feels safe, meaningful, and worth the risk. And in the end, it's not about what you say, it's about how present you are when you say it.